When you can actually see your profit for the year in dollars and cents, it gets you more in the notion of selling corn, knowing that I can lock in a $50,000 profit or whatever the profit is. You want to lock it in. If I know I can make that much profit in a year, I will be in business next year.
Good afternoon. Welcome to GrainTV. It's Friday, March 20th, and this is our weekly wrap-up. Grains ended the week on positive territory with 11-cent gain in corn, 10-cent gain in beans, and wheat leading the charge, 18 cents higher. Cody, what was the stimulus today?
Well, first of all, when you look at a percentage basis, you'll notice that corn and wheat both increasing over 3% on the day. That was very positive. Soybeans was kind of the lagger, up only 1%. But you'll notice that the dollar index is really a major part of today's rally. I think part of what we saw was short covering, but part of what we saw was just the dollar index selling off over 1%. That's a major move for this dollar index, and I think a lot of this had to do with, one, we had the FOMC meeting, and that really kind of takes away the risk that we have of rate hikes here, at least in the short term. And then you also had some calming words from Angela Merkel, German chancellor over there, and that pretty much helped the euro recover, and as a result you saw the dollar selling off here. When you see the dollar selling off, that's positive, at least for the grains. I think people started moving into the grains, and really when you look at the charts here, you'll notice they go from the upper left to the lower right. That means it's a bear trend, and I think when you get these sort of currency moves, you get kind of a short covering reaction that sometimes can get augmented here specifically on a Friday. Take a look at the wheat chart here. You'll notice we were able to bust through that 50-day moving average, really finishing off near the highs of the day. So that was very positive to see for wheat. But you can see, it's really been, wheat has had a hard run here over the last couple months, and only recently has it started to pick up some speed or some direction to the upside. And when you look at corn, you'll notice that we've kind of bumped in. We had a great day today, but we kind of bumped into some resistance right around that 385 to 390. You'll notice that's really where this wedge was being formed between February and really the beginning of March. So when you look at that, I would be cautious next week. I think those areas will provide some resistance. I think also when you look at that one of the red lines up there, that is actually the 50-day moving average. So not only do you have this wedge resistance, but you also have a 50-day moving average, kind of a combination of indicators to provide a little bit of resistance up there.
Right. Cody, let's take a look at the corn market for cash basis. And this week we saw just a modest 1 cent improvement in basis, and it was really sort of a mixed bag depending on where you were in the country. If you were around ethanol plants, especially in the western corn belt, you saw some pretty good basis moves. Basis levels at some of the key corn buyers were up 5 cents to 10 cents a bushel in that western corn belt area. Along the river terminals, both for corn and beans, we saw a lot of weakness this week, largely driven by higher barge freight. So we've seen barge freight really start to move up about 10 to 12 cents a bushel in the last week. That really took a toll, especially in corn, where basis levels were up only modestly at the Gulf. In soybeans, basis levels at the Gulf were up about 9 cents. So soybeans didn't fare as badly along the rivers as the corn market did this week. But certainly, the end user for corn seems to be, starting to bid it up a little bit.
Well, that sounds good here. Now, guys, remember, if you haven't done so already, take a demo of our trading platform. But not only with the trading platform do you get a ability to look at live quotes, but we'll also set you up with some cash market intelligence, send you out an email every night of not only your favorite markets, but we'll also do the math there, taking into account the location of the farm, taking into account your own individual trucking and storage costs, and we'll calculate out where the best selling opportunities are, taking into account all those cash markets, both spot and forward prices here within a 200-mile radius of your farm. That sort of intelligence there can help you find additional sense when it comes to marketing your grain in the fall. Guys, let's talk a little bit about those Informa numbers that came out today, they were a little bit, they were anticipated. Traders were eager to see where they were pegging acreage for both corn and soybeans. You'll notice Informa Economics revised their acreage lower here from the January forecast. Their corn acreage was 88.5 million acres, and their soybean estimates here was 87.5 million acres. And that compares to last year, where we saw corn acres at 90.6 million acres and soybean acres at 83.7. One thing that's kind of interesting about this is when you compare this to the Ag Outlook Forum, which really showed very little change year over year between corn and soybean acres, there's a pretty big deviation. And I think that really what we're seeing here is probably analysts and traders expecting to see a little bit larger soybean acreage coming down the pipe on that March 31st planting intentions report. So that's going to be a major driver of next week's trade. That's one of those reports that it always seems like there's fireworks that comes out as a result of it. Other than that, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Make sure you reach out to us if you have any questions, or if you want to learn how you can set up your grain hedge trading platform to be ready for being out in the fields. We have some great email alerts that you can use, the cash bids that go right to your email, and also that mobile trading platform, which is just a great tool to be able to monitor those positions and the quotes live when you're away from your desk. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you here on Monday.